Right. Okay. I've set up this using my mobile phone rather than my other camera, so the picture's not as it's okay, but it's not as tip top. And today is about tidy up. I've kept the palette from yesterday, so I've got an awful feeling about this. So I've let it dry overnight, and hopefully we can resolve it or tidy it up. What I'm looking for really is what I'm going to do is make it wet and drop in some just clean water while it's damp. Pop in some of this nice yellowy colour. Just gently smooth it in. I'm not going to worry about that run back there for a time being. I've got my lovely little bit of red left in here from yesterday, so I can drop that in too. Never throw your palette away, you never know when you need it. And then I've lost a bit of the quite a bit of the transparency of the picture. That's fine. Hopefully I'll get away with this. Been lifting off. And somewhere over here we have some shadow colour, which is a mixture of the light red and some blue. Gives us a nice shadow tone. You have to keep... I'm going to add quite a bit of water in with it because I just want it to be a nice gentle wash. I'm just going to drop it in on there while it's still damp. Hopefully it will give us a nice shadow. Just drop it in, let the water do some of the work. Hopefully the yellow and the red will show up from underneath. And then while I'm at it, I'm gonna clean water on my brush and I'm just slightly lifting off and drying it off in my brush. Bit tissue here. That's the other. Should be able to just lift some of this off. There we go. That was the little run back that was there. So I've just wiggled it off a bit. Don't know what, I think I'll, while I'm at it, introduce a bit more yellow and red to this area. Just drop it in. I'll add a bit of sparkle to my apple. Hopefully I've still got a bit of red left. And I'm just going to turn the paper sideways and add some information and detail to this far edge over here because I wanted it to be a bit rounder. And while I'm here, this area also needs shadow as well, so I'm going to drop that same tint that I've got shadow area into this side. So I might need to pause and come back when it's a bit drier. It's not easy seeing, visualizing it upside down either. Clean water. Just that fine, oh, whoops, that little edge there, I might need to tidy that, well I will tidy that up when it dries back. My shadow's a bit warm actually, but it'll dry back. I'm sure it'll dry back. The apple is definitely in shadow, big time. Yeah, just tightening up a few areas now. That's all it's about. It is a painting, it's not a photograph, remember? Tidy that up. And the shadow under here, I think if I put some clean water there, just smooth it off. A few places where I think it could be smoothed off. Right, we're just going to let that dry. I'll be back. Dried off quite well, I think. Dried back. It's drying back. I might just get a bit of tissue, clean tissue. I've got a nice brush here. Clean water and tissue is all I can suggest on that. Oh, there's a little hard line there that I'm just going to tease off. Clean water, damp tissue. Just don't do too much. Just do a little bit and go away and come back another day or another bit later. I'm just going to add some. I've still got plenty of my mixed, which was a little bit of lemony yellow and a little bit of warmer golden yellow, but loads of water. You want it nice, lots of fine layers this time out. Need to mix up a bit more red as well. Just a sec. Put that in there. And it's a very pale red. An apple red. Just a light cadmium red. You can mix up a little bit of yellow and red, give it sort of an orangey colour, which is always what defines an apple. So we've got the red and an off red, warmer colour. But at the moment, I'm thinking this, I just want to build up a layer of a warmer red down that side. Whoops. Lifts off really quickly. I think same over here. Just going to give it a very light wash. Just build up a few layers on that darker shadow area. Not too bad. And there's a nice warm yellowy area. At some point we're going to have to try and lift off a highlight. They're just and call it a day. I want some, I've got a rigger here somewhere, a smaller brush. Just add a little bit of warmer colour to my top. Let's lift off that area there. Try and put a highlight here if I can. There you go. Whoosh. And I've still got this highlight area over here that needs a good lift out. Might take more than one go to lift that out. I think that's a bit too yellow now. Good enough to eat. Yep. If I can find a little rigger brush, and I've got some sort of grey, a darker grey. You can always add a bit of blue to it. Gone a bit too blue. These are all local colours to the painting, raw sienna colours that we started off with. What I'm trying to achieve is a darker version of our orange colour, so I can just tease in a few highlight areas. If you push your brush on the side, take off the excess, and being a rigger, you can acts almost like a dry brush that can just put a few highlights in. If they go too strong, just texture them with the tissue. Particularly at the bottom, I suspect it will need, whoops, wrong brush, where it meets the table cloth. We'll add a really nice bit of dark. This sort of stage of the picture is very much it's personal. It's how you feel. Yes, I know there's a blob on the apple there. I'm just deliberately ignoring it for a minute. See what it develops over this side. Just teasing in a few. I suppose they're like little veins on the apple, aren't they? Maybe that's a bit strong, that one. Push it about. It's just dark, orangey, with some of the shadow in. Maybe getting a bit carried away here. Less is more. Subtle is best. Where it meets the other apple, we'll add a little bit more. I stopped looking at the reference picture quite some time ago. I'm just looking at my apple. Being watercolour, it's never going to have a golden shine to it. And the paper will dictate how flat it will go as well. Perhaps gloss varnish it later. Don't think that you can get watercolour varnish. Just trying to highlight where the rim of the apple is, using this sort of dark shadowy colour. Less is more, I think. sort of do a bit and stop. But the red's a nice deeper colour, so we can just use the red to highlight some of these shadows. Tease that out. The brush has gone sort of dry, so it's giving you the sort of textured feel to the apple. See if I can, trying to be conscious that it is a ball, not a in other words, make my brush strokes follow the lines of the apple. But you can keep doing this until you get bored and decide that enough is enough. And it is actually starting to looks like a bit like an apple. Still think I could do with a really bright, dark, shadowy area. I'm going to use a slightly larger brush. Try and warm that up with a bit of the red. This is it's just a shadow tone that I mixed up with blue and burnt sienna earlier. I'm just adding a little bit of red to warm it up. See what happens. I'm just going to go whoosh, one stroke right across. Don't go over it, just move along. See what happens. Could still be a bit darker over this side. That's not so bad. Just put a drop of clean water. I'm going to use a rigger for this and soften down the edge, the dark edge that I made, and encourage the same shadow underneath the apple, building up the layers all the time here before we decide to concentrate on our, perhaps tidy up a few, too much water, a little bit of water on these dry base portions, tease out some more folds on the surface that it's, so where it's dried, all these sort of cloth creases tend to turn up, so we can add flavour to them. Look for the dark edge. Just put a line of colour and then a drop of water on it, like so. Clean water. Just go down it and it'll soften it down nicely. If you want, you can even just push the brush across and it'll give it a three-dimensional feel to it. Don't know why I just put my brush in green, but there you go. I was tempted to redo the whole of the background a darker colour, but I kind of got used to it now. I'm thinking it's got a nice, well, an interesting feel to it. Keep this side of the equation slightly lighter than the other. Now then, shall I or shan't I remove that little blob on the edge of the edge of the apple over here? Go on then. Really need to wait until the rest of the wash underneath is dry, and then lift it off. You can do it. If I put tissue over the whole lot, it'll take off the washes that I put on a few minutes ago. So just use the brush and the tissue and try and lift it off. Not too bad. Concentrate on the half of the apple. Could do with a little bit more, bit of a darker feel. Again, if we can mix up some red or burnt sienna, add a bit of blue to it, we'll get a nice shadowy grey, purpley, nearly said yuck then, but it's not. It's an interesting colour that we can just dab in. Try not to put your hand over the work you've already done. It's trouble being left-handed. You can't stop going over what you've already done. Just put a few dabs on. I really enjoy doing these still life fruity things. Never realised it was such an interesting subject to do. Especially if you're using really, careful there, nearly went, really light washes all the time to just sort of tease a bit more information out. You carry on doing it ad infinitum, I think. Infinitum, ad infinitum, whatever. Somebody's in that item. Can you imagine if this was gloss varnish? It would really make them stand out now. I'm not going to do too much more. I think I might put a line of shadow there and clean water underneath it and let it flow down. Pull it away from the and just to there's a little bit of an area here that I think could do with softening down, which is just clean water on the brush, put it back in your tissue, and you can soften an area down. A little bit more delicate on there. And the same across here. Don't know if I could do it with this rigger. Just want to tidy that area up. Invariably, you tend to sort of need to do it with clean water, lift a piece off, and then let the painting dry, that area dry, and then come back later. Getting there though. Still not 100% sure about that area in here. Might need to have a look at that later. And the other thing that I tend to do quite often if possible, is put a little mount around the image just to have a look and see, just get a feel for what, because once you put a frame around things, they tend to brighten up. There's a little bit there that's annoying me. Needs softening down. The problem is, once you see something, you just got to do something about it. Yeah, I'm going to hang that one up on my wall when I've. Hang on, let's pull the pitch down a bit. The camera's making it. I'm using my my smartphone at the moment, and so the contrast is a bit strong. I can let me see, on the computer there's a little thing that I can. Is that hard? No, that's hardening it. Oh, it doesn't seem to want to reset. The contrasty is just a little bit contrasty. I just want to smooth it down a bit, but it's not going to play. Oh well, quite pleased with that. I'm going to stop there and then maybe come back and tighten up a few bits later, but I've got apples in my bowl downstairs that actually look a bit like that. As I say, the computer and the camera's making it look much contrastier than it actually is, but it's still fair representation. Have fun. All right, go for it yourselves. Bye for now.